Hey, all. I wanted to encourage you today with a word that I read recently that encouraged me. It's actually a verse that came out of John chapter 6, and it came across my path a number of times in the past few weeks. And it's simply this verse, this statement of Jesus. And it said this: "Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and the one who believes in me will never be thirsty." Now, obviously, if you're familiar with this verse, Jesus is not talking about physical hunger or physical thirst. He's talking about those deep longings that we have in our hearts, the desires that are underneath everything else, the deepest desires. You know the kind that I'm talking about, the desire for significance, for security, for approval from other people, a desire that makes us want to fill them. They drive what we do. Now, most of my experience in my life has been that doesn't necessarily play out in my life. I believe in Jesus, I follow Jesus, but that doesn't mean that I haven't felt those deep longings and tried to fill them in multiple different ways. It's what ends up causing me to be seeking the approval of someone else. It drives us to different behaviors. It drives some people to habitual sins or to addictions or to worry constantly about different things. And yet Jesus says that if we believe in him and we come to him, those deepest desires will be satisfied. I think the picture that Jesus is giving us in all this, it's like the picture of if you've sat down and had a really good meal. And when you sit back in your chair at the end and your stomach is full and everything tasted wonderful, you are totally satisfied. And you don't really want anything else. You're not tempted by anything because there's this feeling of contentment, of being satiated. I think that's the picture that Jesus is giving. That when we come to him and we let him satisfy our desires, all those other things, the worry, the addictions, all those things that we run to, they just don't hold a whole lot of desire. In the moment that is, we are contented and we need nothing else. So it makes me wonder if the problem is less about the desires that we have and maybe how we fill them, but we want to hold on to the right to fill those desires the way we want to fill them up. There's something scary about surrender, about letting God have his way there and letting Jesus be the one that fills it, because there's something in us that wants to retain the control of how we do that. We're a little worried that if we try to go to Jesus with our desires, it may or may not turn out the way we want. And so we hold on to our worry or our pet sins or our addictions. And yet the good news, and what's encouraging me recently, is that when we do that surrender, our desires are filled. And in a way better way than when I try and do it my own. A lot of times when I try and fill desires my own way, I'm left feeling bad about myself, guilty, a little bit of shame. But when Jesus does it, it's amazing. And just like physical appetites for food that need to be filled up day after day because we get empty, I think the same thing is true with Jesus. He's inviting us to come back day after day to let him fill us up so that we are contented and satisfied. And when we do, we will not be hungry and we will not be thirsty because those deepest desires of our hearts have been satisfied. May you do that just like I am working on it through this rest of this year and beyond. Till next time, see you then.